Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zerel. Let's get to it. So today we're doing the deep dive, codenamed Pale Carve. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. Stage 1 of the deep dive has you taking care of the drill dozer and finding and repairing 2 mini mules. This stage does not have any modifiers that you have to worry about. So the mini mules, you'll see and or hear, they kind of pulse green light. You can scan them for the missing legs, which will then glow white with a little pulse to it. Or you can check your terrain scanner to find where they're at. Put them back onto the mini mule and then repair it. And you'll have to do that for each one. The mini mules are not on the terrain scanner, so you will have to be aware, both watching and listening for those cues. So the drill dozer, as it's going along, you're going to have to deal with swarms of enemies, and at some point it's going to run out of fuel. So not only do you have to stick around the drill dozer in order to make sure that it gets to where it needs to go without taking too much damage, but you also have to refuel it. So in order to refuel it, there are 2 canisters. Each canister has to be refueled. Look for the oil shale that is on the sides of the cavern. Find your way to get to it. So whatever that way is, and then go ahead and harvest it using the canister itself. So the canister will actually take the oil shale and refuel from there. More than likely you're going to need 2 different spots of oil shale for each canister. So make sure you have 2 spots already scouted out so that you can get that canister completely full. Once it's completely full, you'll know it'll turn green both on the right hand side plus right in the middle of where it is, and it says blinks full. Go ahead and slot it back into the drill dozer, and then you only have 1 more to deal with. Once you have both of them in, then you're ready to continue on to the Amaran Heartstone. Now you both have to protect and repair the drill dozer, so make sure that you're taking care of it. Once you get to the Heartstone, maybe call in a resupply pod, and then of course set up your defense, and then go ahead and get started. Now cracking the Heartstone is a 4-phase event, with each phase being different than the last. But one thing you can count on is swarms of enemies coming at you. So each phase you can expect something a little bit different, although if you've done this before, then you know what to expect in terms of enemies and what is going to come up at each phase. Make sure that the drill dozer stays healthy and repaired, and once you get that Amaran Heartstone cracked open, go ahead and grab it, put it into the mule, and then call in the drop pod, and then you're ready to get on to stage 2. Also think about saving Doretta, the drill dozer. The brains of the drill dozer can be hauled back to the drop pod, but someone has to carry it. Now this is a good time to point out that the deep dive is a 3-stage raid-like environment where you can play by yourself with your buddy Bosco, or with up to 3 other players.
Getting more ammo.
Now you can do it solo. It is completely possible to complete it as a solo adventure, although do expect to take more time in order to complete it than if you're in a group of people. Now you can do it with a pre-made team, or you can matchmake with other players. Now once you call in the drop pod, go ahead and make a beeline for it. The mule will take its own time, so either follow the mule or make your way to the drop pod and then defend the area until the mule docks with the drop pod. Either way, you won't be able to get into the drop pod until the mule docks. They don't let you get out. For some reason, they don't trust the dwarves not to leave without the Armor and Heartstone. So I went ahead and got to the drop pod. It's still locked up, and then I just have to wait for the mule. Plus, I have to wait for Bosco because Bosco's got Doretta, and I want to bring Doretta back into the drop pod. As I see Doretta is kind of like my co-worker. Leave no dwarf behind, leave no drill dozer behind.
The mule has docked, initiating launch.
Use a laser pointer to figure out where Bosco's at in this whole thing. And then once he gets close enough, I tell him to drop the drill dozer bit. And there we go.
Deep diving now.
On to stage 2 of the deep dive. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Rock on!
Now, one of the main reasons to do the deep dive is for matrix cores. Those will be used to soup up your weapons as well as get cosmetics and weapon skins. Alright, stage 2 of the deep dive has cave leech clusters as a modifier while doing refining liquid morkite and killing one dreadnought. So keep your eyes on the sky. With the liquid morkite, you'll see the smoke and hear it, plus the plumes of blue fire. Call in the pump jack. That'll pop in. Make sure that you get out of the area so that it doesn't drop on top of you. And then what you have to do is connect the pipeline framework or build it out from the rig all the way out to wherever the pump jacks are at. Now, depending on your job class, will partially determine how you get the framework out. If you're a driller, you can drill a straight line as long as there is wall and or floor or ceiling in between the rig and the pump jack. Even if you're not, you can still dig a tunnel, but it will take you a little bit longer if you're not a driller.
This should work.
Now, if you're an engineer, you can put up your traversal tools on the sides of the walls to make it a little bit easier, and everyone else just has to do the best they can. Now, once you have the framework set up, then you can build it out. And don't forget to look out for enemies as you're doing this, as well as having the swarms of enemies show up from time to time. So it behooves you to go through this as quickly as possible. Get this hooked up. And you have 3 different liquid morkite sites. So 3 pump jacks, 3 times that you have to do the framework, and then of course you have to build out the pipeline for each one.
Ah, pretty as a picture.
Now, as you're going along, make sure that you're collecting gold and nitra as you're going. Make sure you keep your eyes open for it. Gold, of course, will get you more credits at the end of the deep dive. And then nitra, of course, will help you stay flush with ammo as well as grenades, traversal tools, and health as you're going along. So regardless of how many dwarves there are in the mission, nitra will be invaluable in order to keep everyone alive. So once you have all the pump jacks connected, don't forget you still have that dreadnought to contend with. You won't be able to start pumping the liquid morkite until you have that dreadnought taken care of. Because unlike a normal mission that has one main objective and one optional objective, the deep dive has 2 mandatory objectives that you have to complete before you can move on to the next stage. Dreadnoughts, of course, are the boss-like creatures of Deep Rock Galactic that have phases. Depending on which one that you get, you will have to change your strategy slightly. I got the Glyphid Dreadnought, which has an invulnerable stage, a shielded stage, and then a damage phase. So wait for the invulnerable stage to pass. Once you have the shielding stage, take down that shield quickly, and then when you get to the damage phase, do as much damage as quickly as possible before the Dreadnought goes back into the invulnerable stage. Once it does go back into invulnerable, then of course you're going to want to stay away from it. But once you take care of the Dreadnought and have all the pipes laid out, then you're ready to go and start pumping. You'll see progress on the right hand side. At some point, the pipes are going to start leaking. Either 1, 2, or 3 of the pipes are going to start leaking, and at 1 or 2 different spots along each pipe. So you might have to repair up to 6 different spots on 3 pipelines in order to get it running again.
This pipeline is fixed.
And you'll want to do so quickly because you still have to deal with enemies. Look for those flashing red spots, and then of course you have these almost like red beacons in the sky showing you exactly where those leaks are at. Now those leaks do attract the bugs, so go ahead and take care of the bugs before you repair it. I would say makes it a little bit easier because once it's repaired, they're going to come after you. Once everything's repaired, you'll start progressing again and getting that refinement or pumping the liquid morkite up. So the closer you get, the better. And of course, as you're pumping along, you're going to have swarms of enemies coming at you. So make sure that you're on the defensive. Probably staying away from the rig, because the rig really isn't the best spot to defend. It's a little bit harder to defend, whereas if you're in, like, say, a corridor like here, you only have to worry about front and back, whereas if you're at the rig, you have to worry about front, back, sides, up and down. So you have to worry about everything. But once you have everything done 100%, send that rig into orbit and then get the drop pod. It will take about 30 seconds once you send it up into orbit before the drop pod comes in, but it is not a long time, so you only have to wait a short amount of time, and then of course drop pod comes in. You can track it, you'll be able to see it coming from above you somewhere, and then just make your way to wherever it's at. It is generally away from the rig and in a more remote location. So if you have an idea of where it may be, then go ahead and go over there, and maybe you're right, maybe you're not, or maybe you're a little bit off. Make your way over there and then get onto the drop. Unlike the previous stage, you don't have to wait for the mule. As soon as it drops down, it's going to open up and you can get out. As you're going along, make sure that you're helping the other dwarves get on there, because the survival bonus for having everyone survive will get you a bigger bonus at the end. And that's it for stage 2. Going on to stage 3. Look at us already over halfway done, ready to take on the final stage of the deep dive. And here we go. The final stage of the deep dive has low oxygen as a modifier, doing a industrial sabotage and looking for that crystallized morkite.
Where is that damn?
So industrial sabotage, of course, you have to take out 2 power stations. So you have to find the power stations by following the power cord from the caretaker over, and then of course call down a hacker bot or hexy. Connect the hacker bot with the little orbs to the power station and then get it going. So once you have everything connected, then you can go ahead and start it up. Make sure that you get your defense ready.
One sentry gun ready to be built.
and have all the dwarves that you're going to need for that defense.
Get to work, you noisy
Low oxygen
hacking
means
drone.
that you have toxic air in
Hacking has
this part of
commenced.
the deep
Protect
dive.
the hacking drone.
Your pack only carries about 60 seconds of oxygen, and then you're going to choke and die from asphyxiation. There's only 3 or 4 places where you can get oxygen. The drop pod is one, the Haxibot pod is one, a resupply, and then of course the mule. So you have to be within those pretty much constantly throughout the level. If you're playing with other players, make sure you're all more or less together so that you're not having to call for oxygen and you have people trying to call the mule when they're running out. Now, while you're hacking the power station, you're going to have swarms of enemies, both bugs and robots. So you're going to have shredders, you're going to have patrol bots, you're going to have the whole 9 yards, as well as keep your eyes open for turrets, and of course, keep an eye on your oxygen level. You do get a couple of reminders, and when you start getting low, then all of a sudden it starts getting insistent, and it's saying, hey, you're running out of oxygen, hurry up. Get some more oxygen because you're slowly dying. It does take a few seconds, 5 or 10 seconds to fill up that oxygen tank that you have on your pack. Now once you have one power station done, of course you'll need to go and do the same thing for the second one. So if I find the power cord back in the central area, and if the Haxibot does get attacked, he'll go into hiding and you'll have to restart him. Your progress will stay wherever it was at, so you don't lose any progress on this. And then of course, once you get to 100%, then you're ready to shut down the force field and take on the final boss of the deep dive. Now don't forget, you still have to do the crystal morkite before you can get out. So look for that grayish blue glow even if you don't have light in the section. And since it is the secondary objective, you only need 150. But it may seem like a lot because there probably won't be as many clusters of the mineral. Now the Caretaker is another boss-like creature of Deep Rock Galactic with 3 different phases, and each phase adding another level of complexity to it. So you have the invulnerable stage, you have a shielded stage where you have to hit the little squares, the vents on the side, which are at the top. They're kind of floating away from it, or levitating. Go ahead and shoot them. Once they get damaged, then the eye of the Caretaker will open, and then you can start doing the damage part of the Caretaker's damage phase.
Getting more ammo. Yeah.
When the Caretaker throws shields out, you have to just kind of wait. You might have a chance to do some damage, but more than likely you'll have to just kind of wait for it. Alright, but once you get that last of the 4, you're ready to start doing damage. Look out for those tentacles that are trying to damage you and take you out, as well as any turrets or shredders or patrol bots that are going to be around. Look for the eye, the one section that's open, and do damage as quickly as possible. It'll close, it'll be invulnerable until another one opens again. Do as much damage as quickly as possible, and then it'll go invulnerable again, and keep going until you get one chunk taken off, and then it'll be invulnerable, and then you have to do it again. Once you have all 3 phases taken care of, you've done it, the Caretaker is done for, and the data rack is yours. You can grab the data rack and get out. Now just because you're done with all the objectives doesn't mean you have to not worry about anything because you'll still have enemies and you still have to worry about low oxygen. So still keep in range of the mule or a resupply pod until you find out where the drop pod is going to show up. Once the drop pod starts coming down, either go with the mule, depending on how far it is, or make your way over to it. There are oxygen pods on the drop pod, as I mentioned earlier, so just make your way over and get out. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
Go get him, boy! Bug Trap 2.0. Sticky, ticky grenade. I ordered a resupply.
Nitro's been withdrawn and supply pod is inbound.
Resupply order.
Hang in there. Supplies are on the way.
Suck on this, you freak of nature.
Supply drop has been ordered and is on the way.
I ordered a resupply.
Nitro's been withdrawn and supply pod is inbound.
Resupply ordered.
The mule's been successfully retrieved. Make it snappy, team. The drop pod won't hang around forever.
I'm taking
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching now. Drop pod departing in T-minus 4 minutes.
I ordered a resupply.
Stand back. Supply pod inbound.
Resupply ordered.
Hang in there. Supplies are on the way.
Catch now. I'll never get the smell out of my armor. Sticky boo!
Extraction commencing. Good work.
Rock and stone in the heart. Rock and stone!
PlayStation